There's a line between confidence and arrogance that a lot of guys either can't see or think doesn't exist, and crossing it quietly undoes everything they're trying to build. You can do everything right, the calm energy, the grounded presence, and still tip over into something that reads as insufferable instead of attractive if you don't understand where that line actually is. Today, the real difference, and how to stay on the right side of it. Let's get into it. First, confidence is quiet. Arrogance needs an audience. A genuinely confident man doesn't need anyone to witness his win to feel good about it. He did the thing, he knows he did the thing, that's enough. The accomplishment itself is the reward. Arrogance, on the other hand, constantly seeks validation, bringing up achievements unprompted, steering conversations back toward accomplishments no matter what the actual topic was supposed to be. If you notice yourself needing someone to acknowledge something before it feels real, that's usually a sign you've drifted from confidence into performance. Second, confidence includes other people. Arrogance excludes them. A confident man can be in a room and make space for someone else to shine. Ask questions. Listen genuinely. Let a conversation be about someone else entirely, without feeling like he's losing something by not being the center of it. Arrogance treats every conversation as a stage, subtly redirecting attention back to itself no matter the topic, always finding a way to make someone else's story somehow about him too. Pay attention to how often you're actually curious about someone else versus how often you're just waiting for your turn to talk again. Third, confidence handles being wrong easily. Arrogance can't tolerate it. This is one of the clearest tells. A confident man can say, "Actually, you're right. I hadn't thought about it that way," without it costing him anything internally. Arrogance treats being wrong like an attack on identity, doubling down, deflecting, changing the subject rather than admitting a mistake. The ease with which you can admit fault is a pretty accurate measure of how secure you actually are underneath the surface. Fourth, confidence doesn't need to diminish others to feel elevated. Watch how some guys build themselves up by putting other people down. Subtle jabs, backhanded compliments, comparisons that make someone else look worse so they look better by contrast. That's not confidence. That's insecurity wearing a costume. Real confidence doesn't require anyone else to be smaller for it to feel real. Fifth, confidence is consistent across situations. Arrogance is situational and often collapses under real pressure. A lot of guys who seem confident in easy, low-stakes settings, comfortable social circles, familiar territory, completely fall apart the moment something actually challenges them. A genuine setback, real criticism, an unfamiliar environment where nobody already knows their reputation. That inconsistency reveals that what looked like confidence was actually just comfort, dressed up as something more solid. Real confidence holds up specifically when things get uncomfortable, not just when everything's already going well. Sixth, confidence asks questions. Arrogance already has all the answers. A confident man is comfortable saying, "I don't know," or "I hadn't considered that," because his sense of self isn't threatened by gaps in his knowledge. Arrogance treats not knowing something as a vulnerability to be hidden at all costs, leading to guys who talk with total certainty about things they actually know very little about, just to avoid appearing uninformed in front of anyone watching. Seventh, confidence is generous with credit. Arrogance hoards it. When something goes well through a group effort, a confident man is quick to point out other people's contributions. Arrogance quietly absorbs credit, either through outright taking it or through conveniently forgetting to mention anyone else's role. How you talk about shared wins says a lot about which side of this line you're actually standing on. Eighth, confidence can sit with silence. Arrogance needs to fill it with itself. In a lull in conversation, a confident man is fine letting it exist. An arrogant one experiences silence as a vacuum that needs to be filled, usually with something about himself, because silence without self-reference feels uncomfortably like being forgotten. That discomfort with quiet is often the clearest tell of all, because it's hard to fake being at peace with a pause you're actually anxious about. And ninth, the one that ties it together, confidence is about how you feel about yourself. Arrogance is about how you need others to feel about you. That's the actual root of the whole distinction. Confidence exists independently of an audience. Arrogance requires one, constantly, to keep functioning. If you strip away every witness, every compliment, every acknowledgement, and you still feel solid, that's confidence. If that same scenario feels hollow or unsettling, that's usually arrogance wearing confidence's clothes. So here's the full picture. Confidence stays quiet without needing witnesses. It makes room for other people instead of competing with them. It can admit being wrong without flinching. It doesn't need to shrink anyone else to feel bigger. It holds up under real pressure, not just easy situations. It's comfortable saying, "I don't know." It gives credit generously instead of hoarding it. It can sit in silence without needing to fill it. And ultimately, it doesn't need an audience to feel real. If you catch yourself doing the opposite of any of these, that's not a character flaw. It's just a sign that some part of your confidence is still running on borrowed validation instead of your own foundation, and borrowed validation runs out the second nobody's around to supply it. Worth noticing, worth correcting. One situation at a time. Peace.